You're listening to Financial Advisor Marketing, the best show on the planet for financial advisors who want to get more clients without all the stress. You're about to get the real scoop on everything from lead generation to closing the deal. James is the founder of theadvisorcoach.com, where you can find an entire suite of products designed to help financial advisors grow their businesses more rapidly than ever before. Now, here is your host, James Pollard.
Welcome to the Financial Advisor Marketing Show. This episode is going to be about LinkedIn's Social Selling Index, or SSI. And I've gotten a few questions about it because I shared my own SSI on LinkedIn, and people were basically asking how I got my score so high. Let me explain what happened. I commented on a status update talking about SSI, and I shared that my score was 81, which admittedly is pretty good. And several financial advisors messaged me on LinkedIn. A few sent me an email, which is the preferred way to contact me because I rarely check my LinkedIn messages, but they were asking about it. And I realized a little light bulb went off in my head. Hey, a lot of people are asking about this, James. Why don't you do a podcast episode on it? And I thought to myself, that's a good idea. So here we are. Now, I want to get two things clear before I get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. First, my score is not that high. Yes, it is in the top 1% of the industry, and that sounds like a humble brag. I promise that it's not. But it's meant to be scored out of 100. So 81 still has a lot of room for improvement, which we'll talk about later. There are people out there with higher scores than me. There are people out there with lower scores than me. And ironically, there are people with lower scores who probably get a lot better results on LinkedIn than I do. I'm not saying I'm some LinkedIn rock star or anything like that, because I'm not. I'm running an actual business. I really don't have time to be on LinkedIn all day. I just want to get that out of the way first. It's not like I'm spending all day on LinkedIn. I just told you that my messages get backed up and I don't really check them, so I'm obviously not on LinkedIn that much. And then second, my score has changed. When I checked a few days later after seeing that it was 81, I was like, hey, I haven't checked this in a long time. Let me check my SSI. And it's like, oh, cool, it's 81. But then I checked a couple days after that and it was 79. And then I checked a few days later and it was back to 81. And I wish LinkedIn had a graph or something showing you how your score trends over time. I guess like a credit score graph, and it shows you what your score has been. But at the time of this recording, they don't have that. And I wouldn't be surprised if my score was much lower at one point, or maybe even higher at one point based on my activity on LinkedIn. I guess that's the whole point, but I do want to make it clear that it changes, or at least it's changed for me. So what is the Social Selling Index? The definition straight from LinkedIn Sales Solutions to be specific, is LinkedIn's Social Selling Index is a first of its kind measure of a company or individual's adoption of the 4 pillars of social selling, which we'll talk about. We'll talk about each of those 4 pillars on LinkedIn based on a scale from 0 to 100. We measure your performance on each of these 4 pillars, then sum the 4 scores into SSI. It is designed to measure adoption of social selling and can be measured for an individual, a team, or an entire company. So basically, it's about how good you are with social selling. And they have these 4 pillars, and each one is ranked out of 25, and you add them all together or your scores together, and you get your social selling index score. And social selling is when you use social media to find, connect with, and follow up with prospective clients. And there was a big wave about 5 or 6 years ago where social selling was a hot buzzword. A lot of people were talking about how it was going to replace cold calling. And personally, cold calling can still work. Social selling also works. But I do think that the scales have slowly been tipping in favor of social selling in the past few years. And it's kind of like compound interest in a retirement account. It starts off slowly at first and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's kind of what's happening with social selling. And you should do more social selling if you understand how to systematize and scale your efforts, because things like cold calling can't be systematized or scaled on their own, but social selling can. And the beautiful thing about social selling is that it's effective at building relationships. And for financial advisors, this is a big deal because financial advising is a relationship business. You can interact with people's content. You can see what they're interested in. You can reach out to them on there. And with something like a cold call, it seems like I'm picking on cold calls, but it's just the marketing strategy I'm using to compare. You'll never be able to see that someone is a financial advisor who serves sumo wrestlers. With something like LinkedIn, their information is available in the headline. When you get a cold call from someone, you can't immediately see that that's who they are and what they do. You've got to listen through the pitch. But when you're social selling sumo wrestlers, they can see who you are right away. And that's a big plus. And according to LinkedIn's 2016 State of Sales report, 71% of all sales professionals and 90% of top salespeople are already using social selling tools, or I should say we're already using social selling tools. And that should tell you something, because that was in 2016. That was years ago. And I imagine that number is closer to 100% today, which means nearly all top salespeople are using social selling tools. And in my experience, this stat carries over to financial advisors as well, especially when you consider that referrals, for example, they check financial advisors out on social media and engage there before reaching out. So social selling is working for you whether you think it is or not. Now, you may be thinking, okay, cool, social selling, got it. But why is this social selling score important? Well, it's really just a snapshot of your social selling efforts according to LinkedIn. Now, mine has fluctuated, which is why I say it's a snapshot. It's a moment in time. I think you can watch it over time and see if your efforts improve and your score improves. And if your efforts improve, then ask yourself, are you getting more clients? If so, then continue what you're doing. And if not, obviously the SSI isn't as important for you, because if you have a super high score and you're not getting results with LinkedIn, obviously it doesn't matter. But I think LinkedIn does an okay job at predicting sales success. They've got so much data. They have a process down, like their business is staked on, or the sales navigator part of their business is staked on getting results for salespeople and people who have to build relationships in like a sales process. I know there are some financial advisors out there who are like, oh, selling? No, I would never sell. I'm definitely not a salesperson. But like, honestly, like, just get real. We're all selling. Every single person, whether you're a priest, a nun, like whether you're a financial advisor, whether you're a bus driver, like we're all selling. Okay. And LinkedIn isn't perfect, but like I said, it's a snapshot that you can use to gauge your efforts over time. And if you want to find your SSI score, go to this URL, linkedin.com/sales/SSI. So one more time, linkedin.com/sales/SSI. And if that link doesn't work at the time when you're listening to this, you may be listening to this months and months or years after I record this, please don't email me complaining. LinkedIn changes their links all the time. Websites change, URLs change. And if that's the case, I suggest you just Google LinkedIn SSI or something like that, and hopefully it'll show up there. Now, let's talk about the 4 elements, the 4 pillars. Remember, LinkedIn said there were 4 pillars that make up your social selling index score. Let's talk about how to improve them.
Hey, financial advisors. If you'd like even more help building your business, I invite you to subscribe to James's monthly paper and ink newsletter, The James Pollard Inner Circle. When you join today, you'll get more than $1,000 worth of bonuses, including exclusive interviews that aren't available anywhere else. Head on over to theadvisorcoach.com/coaching to learn more.
The very first pillar is to create a professional brand. And with this, LinkedIn is looking at your profile. They want to see that it's complete. Do you have a cover photo? Is your summary filled out? Do you have contact information on there? Are you gaining followers as a result of your content? And the reason LinkedIn wants you to build a professional brand is because it shows that you're an active participant in your industry, and it leads to more messages from prospective clients. In fact, according to 81% of buyers are more likely to engage with a strong professional brand. And if you want to increase your score here, make sure your profile is 100% complete and client focused. Don't make it all about you. Make it about what you can do for your clients. On my profile, I'm using myself as an example now. I talk about how I can help financial advisors get more clients, and I give them several resources for connecting with me. I've got the email, I've got the website, I've got the Financial Advisor Marketing Podcast that you're listening to right now. I've got some videos on there. I gain not that many followers because I'm not as active as I like to be, but I do gain followers from my content. So I have the personal and professional brand on there. And another tip that LinkedIn gives, speaking of video and different types of content, LinkedIn says that you should have different types of media on your profile, such as text, images, and videos. Now, I know that there are some financial advisors and the companies out there that won't let their advisors upload video whatsoever. I mean, I guess they're shooting themselves in the foot because they won't let their advisors improve their social selling scores, and that's going to have a bad ripple effect over time, but oh well. But yeah, make sure you have different types of content on your profile. And I'm happy to report that I have a perfect 25 score on this pillar. So I must be doing it right. And therefore I am qualified to give you advice on this because you can't get much better than perfect. So If you have any questions about building, I guess, your personal brand on LinkedIn, I'm the person to talk to. The next pillar is to find the right people. And this was actually my lowest scoring section on my own SSI score, so I guess I'm not qualified to give advice on this. Although I want to be clear that the way LinkedIn calculates this part of your score is by seeing how much you use their search function to find people. So when they say find the right people, assumes that you're actually searching for people and using their search function to do this. And admittedly, I don't use the search function very often anymore because at this point in my marketing career, I'm not really looking for financial advisors there. I get more than enough inbound inquiries to keep me busy. And plus the coaching, quote unquote coaching I do is through my newsletter. And I'm not going to solicit people for $99 a month, like the newsletter. It just doesn't make sense. I'm not going to cold message people for $99. If they need to be sold on spending $99 to improve themselves, I already know they're not a good fit. Like if someone needs to be persuaded and convinced and like just sold this idea, they're not a good fit because they're not interested in self-improvement. They're not interested in personal and professional development. But if you want to improve this part of your score, just do more searches. Start looking for people and start connecting with people in your niche. I personally don't have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but I imagine using it would boost your score here because LinkedIn Sales Navigator, the premium account, has more advanced search features. They've got more advanced functions, and it really allows you to zero in on the people you want to find. Now, 3 specific tips LinkedIn gives with this is to A, join groups, B, engage with people who have viewed your profile. That's a big one. A lot of financial advisors miss this. I went into detail on one of my Inner Circle newsletters of exactly what to do with people who have viewed your profile. It's a huge missed opportunity. And the last tip is to save leads. And I know you can save leads in Sales Navigator, so call me skeptical. It seems like a part of this score is a marketing strategy designed to get people to sign up for a premium account. Like I see you, LinkedIn. They're basically saying, hey, want to improve your score? Make sure you pay us $90 a month or $89 a month in order to have this function that can improve your score here. Like they're gamifying LinkedIn. But so I see what you're doing. I see through it. But hey, don't hate the player, hate the game. Next, the third pillar of the SSI score is engage with insights. And this was the second lowest scoring part of my score. And I admit I do need to get better at engaging with people on LinkedIn. I really should like and comment more and engage with people. But again, I've said it, I don't spend all day on LinkedIn. I've got a real business to run. And one of the stats from LinkedIn is that reps who exceed quota get 74% more engagement on their post than those that don't exceed quota. And I think I hurt myself with this part of my score because I have a lot of Edward Jones advisors in my network. A lot of them connect with me. They go to my website. They see that my LinkedIn profile is on the homepage. They're like, oh, cool. I can connect with James, and they connect with me. But they never like any of my stuff because they can't. So by definition, they're the ultimate lurkers. And I get it. I totally do. You're held back on social media, but you're hurting my score, Edward Jones. You're killing me here. So there's not really much to say here. Give engagement and get engagement and watch your score increase. And then finally, we have the last pillar of the social selling index or SSI score, which is build relationships. And I have a perfect score on this as well. So I have a perfect score on establish your professional brand, and I have a perfect score on build relationships. And I think my score is maxed out here because I get so many messages. I'm not saying that's the whole reason why, but I do get a lot of messages from people who say they can do SEO for me. They can generate 72.5 leads per week for 84 cents each and so on. Like, I can help you coach your coaches, coach. And I'm thinking that maybe LinkedIn counts those as relationships I've built. I hope not, but I want to throw that out there just in case it is true. I want to be transparent with you. I want to keep it as real as possible. I want to say I get a lot of messages, and I think that may be part of the score. That may be part of the reason why I have a perfect score on this. Now, the tips for improving this part of your score, and these tips come directly from LinkedIn, they are as follows. First, connect with contacts. I don't actively connect with people, but I get a few connection requests here and there. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, shame on you. Feel free to connect with me. Just search James Pollard on LinkedIn and I should come up. If not, I'm doing a terrible job with my LinkedIn SEO, but if that's the case, try James Pollard, the advisor coach, or James Pollard, financial advisor marketing. I should come up. Next, focus on building relationships with senior level people. Now, I admit I do this well because a lot of financial advisors who follow me on LinkedIn and connect with me on LinkedIn, they run their own companies. So, and even though they may be their only employee or they've got like 2 or 3 employees, they list themselves as president or CEO or whatever. Maybe LinkedIn counts that. I don't know, but I do have a lot of quote unquote senior level people. And then finally, the tip from LinkedIn to improve this part of your score is to nurture relationships over time and keep your services top of mind. This is all about follow-up. I talk about this in depth and how to get clients with LinkedIn, so I don't want to rehash it here, but LinkedIn says you should develop the relationship just as you would before LinkedIn existed. Like that's their exact language. You should reach out periodically at appropriate times. You should quote unquote add value by providing relevant information and solutions to your prospects of the problem you solve in business or financial advisors. This is all about building relationships and nurturing relationships with people in your niche. This is directly from LinkedIn. That's not like my advice, even though I do give that same advice. It just happens that it matches perfectly with what LinkedIn is telling you. So that is it. Those are the 4 areas that make up your score. I encourage you to take a look, see how you stack up. Once again, those pillars are build relationships, engage with insights, find the right people, and create a professional brand. And personally, I wouldn't put too much weight on the SSI. I think it's a vanity metric at the end of the day. I can't cash a check with it. I can't pay my bills with it. So the only thing that matters to me, and this may sound crude or callous, but it is true, it's doing business with other people and helping them and adding value to their lives and getting money in return. It involves an actual exchange of cash and goods and services. That's what business is. Somebody gives a person money and they get something in return for it. I can't conduct business with an SSI. Either way, I think it's a decent score you can use to improve your efforts. I think it is worthwhile to at least check it out and know where you stand and know if it's going up or if it's going down for you, but only track it and only give it a little bit more weight if it's translating into real clients. So if your score is going up and you're setting more appointments, then hey, keep doing what you're doing. You're obviously doing something right. But if your score is going up and you're not seeing results, or if your score is going down and you are seeing more results, then throw the whole thing out the window. It doesn't matter because the only thing that matters is setting real appointments and getting real clients. So let me know if the SSI score is important to you, if you plan on tracking it, if you're already using it to track your efforts. Let me know by sending an email to james@theadvisorcoach.com. Share your thoughts. I want to hear from you. I want to see what you're doing, and I'll catch you next time.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.